Hey guys, it's Spoot with Fort Misery Gaming again. We are coming back with Sinoalice today. We're going to talk about Coliseum support aid skills. A lot of people have pretty much kind of keyed in that there's really only one or two usable for each role, but we're going to go over all of them and at least try to give an argument for them. I don't know how well it's going to go, but we'll give it a go. So, for DPS, for your Vanguard units, Dauntless Courage is it. It is the way, it is the absolute best ability you are going to get on DPS. It is a fixed chance to give you more damage when you do damage. So, yeah, yeah. You are doing the thing that you are supposed to be doing better. So, yeah. I feel like that's a pretty strong thing. The downside being is there aren't a ton of weapons right now that have Dauntless Courage 2 on it. Now, being fair, there aren't a lot of weapons out. So don't take that in stride. And some of the SS weapons that have it are absolutely destructive. Especially if you can get one with, like Virtuous Contract's got Life Leech on it. So Life Leech and Dauntless Courage is kind of a ridiculous combo. Because eventually it just ends up with you healing whatever roundabouts you can get. So, that's all you really need to know. Dauntless Courage is the DPS aid skill. As far as leveling it up, unless your weapon has a massive or a great modifier on it, I would probably say don't take it higher than 7 or 8 in general. It's good, but maxing it out when they are kind of a limited resource is, spread it around your massive weapons. Getting the most out of those abilities is probably better. Especially because, eventually through raids and events, we are going to get inundated with support orbs. So keep that in mind. Don't blow them all now. Kind of be a little generous with them, but pay attention to what you're spending it on. Let's go down to, what's the next one? Anti-physical damage barrier. It's a physical defense buff on you while attacking. It's fine. Being fair, this falls into if your minstrels aren't doing their jobs already, this doesn't really help you. So it's kind of like cake, right? It's good sometimes, but it's not something you really want to rely on unless all you eat is cake, in which case, I'm real proud of you. You're living your best life. I'm about it. But, it's just kind of subpar for an aid skill, especially in a realm where, Dauntless Courage just exists. And that's going to be an unfortunate thing going forward, is that up until we get limit break skills on some of these things, which we will talk about when they get announced, it's just not... you'll start getting weapons that are just strictly better than others based on their aid skill for Coliseum. Now, for story mode, this doesn't matter. So, if you're just doing PvP, play whatever the hell you want. Period. Don't even listen to me. You stop this video right now. If you don't even give a shit about Coliseum, don't even bother going on. You are not going to gain anything from listening to me. Unless you really enjoy listening to my voice, in which case, I love you too. So, So you've got a chance to anti-magic, damage barrier, same thing. You can raise your own magic defense. Since there aren't that many spears or pure gunners running around in Coliseum, this is a little less valuable. With the Part 2 of Nier coming out, and then Automata Part 2 coming out, and then Part 1 of Replicant, we may see a little jump in spear users, but right now you don't see them very often. They're crushers, and honestly, I have never seen a gunner in a Colo team yet. But we're only in the top 300, so take that as you will. You may see them later on. I think they're pretty good to have rounded about, but magic damage buffs or magic defense buffs just don't do anything right now unless you are in that particular niche. Physical attack debuff, I think currently has some value since there aren't a crap ton of sorcerers floating around. And you're going to be hitting the guys that are hitting you, so you don't really have to worry about it as much. I think there's a little bit of value in this one. Because if you're doing damage to someone and making them do less damage, even slightly, it's kind of a win. So that's fine. Physical attack support, I think, is slightly... It's a worse version of Dauntless Courage because it's not fixed damage. So instead of having an extra modifier to your damage, it's just like, hey, I get a buff. So I get a percentage increase that my minstrel should be doing. So it's fine. It's not great. Physical defense debuff, that's probably the best one I could recommend outside of like the SP reduction. Because you hit somebody, you take off their defense, you hit them harder next time. So the sort of addition to that is probably fine. Magical Focus is the same thing. It ups your magic attack. It's whatever. Replenish Magic is probably the one that I would be really interesting to see the actual numbers on since they don't really release them. I want to see what the actual SP reduction costs are, and I'm sure I could map it out, or somebody has the numbers, I'm sure. I just don't know them off the top of my head because I haven't sat down and labbed it. But I feel like that's probably slightly worse than Dauntless Courage. And Barrier Break's probably the best one. That's not Dauntless Courage, but there's one of them. It's on the Sword of Humility, that's it. So, you know, whatever that means. But you reduce physical and magical def, so like 2-for-1s are fine, but like I said, there aren't that many magical attackers floating around. And you guys can yell at me like, I'm a magical attacker all you want in the comments. It's fine. You can rep your set. I'm just saying, in Colo, we're a match out of A, and we're just not seeing it, so... But we are seeing a lot of people that were very confused as to why they're there. We literally just fought a guild that had one cleric. So that was interesting. So we've got Replenish Magic, which is fine. I think the SP reduction, if you end up getting 1 or 2 extra weapons out of it without having to dip into like SP recovery, that's pretty good. It keeps you up more often. And then you get into magical attack and defense debuff, which are, you don't have enough lances or gunners floating around, so it's pretty mediocre at best right now. So I wouldn't even really recommend those. And it's crazy because they're on a lot of abilities. So let's go to... We're going to stay away from clerics until last because there's a little bit of niche stuff that I want to go over with them. So you've got defensive barrier. You have a fixed chance to slightly increase your own physical defense and magical defense while attacking. You're not getting hit in the rear guard, I hope. So I don't know. Attack debuff is probably fine. I think as a bonus, it's pretty good. Attack support is you're buffing your own physical attack again, so you don't care. Physical phys defense debuff. I think that's better. Really, the thing you want is support boon. Like, this is the hallmark for support items. So your support effects have a chance to be more effective while you are casting them, which is what you want to do anyway. So if your instrument gives you 2 tiers or 1.8 tiers of physical attack, and you end up getting 2 out of it because of support boon, it's just strictly better because your numbers are just going to be better. Like, that's just how numbers work. Again, it's kind of unfortunate that there is a clear-cut winner in each of these. Like, there are some situational ranges where some of these would be good to fill out a particular role, I guess. But, like, you've got your defensive barrier. Like, you raise your own stats in the rear guard, which means I guess it's fine because you get to buff those stats slightly better, but it's not great. Like, I would rather have support boon or the SP cost reduction. Same thing, armor repair. So this one's not awful. I kind of like this one. You have a chance to increase one Vanguard member's physical and magical defense when you support them. So, again, it's a slightly worse support boon. Barrier break is you're not attacking anything, so I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're not getting anything out of that. Replenish magic is pretty good, especially because for support characters you have to manage your demon use in Coliseum, so I think there's a bit of a value there. And then you've got magic attack debuff, and you're not attacking, so I don't know what to tell you. Like, it doesn't really affect the enemy as much as you would expect because you're not attacking them. Does that make sense? I guess it's better for debuffers, so it's kind of like a support boon, just less across the board and more one specific thing. So these, like I said, you can fill in gaps with these. I don't want to tell you they're great because like support boon and replenish magic are probably just far and away the better ones, but I don't think these are the worst either. So there's a little bit of middle ground in Minstrel and Sorcerer as far as your Coliseum aid skills, but like you're far and away your support boon and replenish magic. Like they just, by the numbers, they end up being better. Being able to cast more things or being able to have the thing you are casting be significantly more effective is just, it's just better. Like adding other weird things on top of it, like especially since you're not attacking on some of them, is kind of bizarre, but I guess most of those are for sorcerers, so it makes sense. It's just still not great. So stabs are kind of in the same place. Replenish magic is pretty good, but your recovery support is probably your best chance. So you just increase the HP that you heal for, which is kind of what you want to do anyway. So yeah, that's good. Like, I like it. I don't know what else you would want as a cleric or as a healer. Like, that's like, hey, I want to heal more. All right, well, that means you gotta have to heal less, which means you can keep an eye on your SP or keep replenished more often because you're not healing as much. And obviously this changes in certain fights. Like, if you have 3 or 4 really, really good clerics, it's easier to rotate, like, who's on deck, so to speak. Like, who is the one who is blowing 2 or 3 stabs, or who is like designated healer for 10 seconds, that kind of stuff. And then you just sort of rotate them out, or you do triage healing, like spot healing. Attack debuff, that should reasonably never proc, because unless support, so here's the thing. So if the language in-game is translated to when you cast this, it has a chance of reducing an enemy's attack, I guess it's possible that it's usable, but I just don't think the numbers add to anything. Like, yeah, getting a debuff while you heal would be great, but I don't know if you are actually ever attacking, because you are technically not when you heal. So I think if the actual definition of this phrase is when you use this item, it can do this, they are slightly better, but I still don't think they trump recovery support or replenish magic. I think they're just stronger. We do get a couple more of these as it goes. Not many. Even in JP, I think there's only 1 or 2 more. The big deal you're going to see is the tiers. So like the Roman numerals, the 1, 2, 3, 4 beside them. You're going to start seeing more 3s and 4s in the SRs, more 2s and 3s in the S's and SS's, that kind of thing. So keep an eye on it. This is just a quick run through of what to expect with Coliseum aid skills. Don't go crazy and don't take it as gospel, because like things can change. Like, do I think it's likely that they're going to change support skills? No, but we could have a patch where Square Enix and Sinoalice Dev says, hey, we want things to be different for a season, and then things just go crazy. It hasn't happened yet, but I don't put it past anybody at this point to change things mid-game, especially with the global release being received as well as it has. Like, it still posts numbers pretty well in JP, and I think it made the top 20 on the global servers for sales. So like, it's doing okay. It's not the worst game in the releases recently. So that's it. That's your Coliseum aid skills. Those are your tiers. So for DPS, you're wanting Dauntless Courage. For your sorcerers and your minstrels, you're wanting support boon, and for your healers, you're wanting recovery support. Replenish magic is sort of the ish tier below that is usable, and then you've got a couple of other things depending on what your main strength skill is or your main hit skill. Like if it's life leech or you attack. Like, you always, anything that gets you 2 allies, period, is good. So I don't really give a shit what the aid skill is if you heal 2 people. So take that as you will. Like, healing 2 people for the same amount and there's no reduction is just better. So that's it. That's Spoot. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I smell funny. Do what you got to do. And we'll talk to you next time.